Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we have a serial entrepreneur, award-winning speaker, and best-selling author that loves bringing people together. It's kind of like my brother from another mother here. He is passionate about connecting people and fostering intentional, sustainable, and meaningful relationships in the workplace. He's got a best-selling book, PATHFINDERS, Navigating Your Career Map with a Personal Board of Advisors, something I'm actually a big fan of as well. Thrive Loud listeners, excited to bring you Pete Schramm. Pete, welcome to Thrive Loud.
What's up? Good morning. Hey, everybody.
Excited to have you here. You can tell he's got good energy. He got the memo that we're going to both wear black t-shirts for this episode. He's coming to us from just outside Pittsburgh, PA. Got a cool story, and I love doing a little rewind. I kind of want to understand how the work that you are doing now became the work you are doing now. So how did we get to the gig that's your gig right now?
Yeah, it's by accident. That's the best thing I can respond and tell you there, Lou. But it grew up on a farm. Parents always instilled in me that our purpose in life is to better the lives of others. So how do we do that? And so from the farm to high school, college, studying engineering, figure out how do I keep connecting with people, learning from people, helping them. And then, what made sense coming from the farm to engineering, I might as well go into defense contracting, right? And then support the warfighter and national security. And then, people changed my life. So I should probably leave that industry and go start my own HR tech software company, right? It really makes sense. It's a linear path. I'm pretty sure this is exactly what the book says to do for people that are trying to better the lives of others. So there was a gap whenever I was in the big company. I was always in sponge mode, if you will.
Yeah.
How'd you get to where you are? What would you have done differently? Do you suggest I talk to any other people? Here's kind of my plan and what I'm trying to, go do in the future. And how can I be helpful to you? And then after I did this about 100 times, maybe even more, people started asking me those questions. I'm like, whoa, you want me to give you advice? Sure. And so what I do now, running Latitude, it's spanned from I don't have all the answers and I don't have enough time to help everybody. So that's the big piece.
I like it. Let's hit that for a bit. Running a SaaS-based company, there is constant pressure in the tech space to be up and to the latest and making sure you're meeting it. And I love asking this question since you are all about helping people. Mm-hmm. How does, and the website I know is Latitude, so go latitude.com, listeners. We'll do this in the plug section. How does Latitude help people in the workplace?
Mm-hmm. So let's think about it from the three different angles. Let's look at it from the employee perspective. Let's look at it from the manager, HR manager perspective. And then let's look at it from the executive. So let's start off with the employees. That's the one that we have the most of inside these organizations. So I'm an employee. I come into this new organization and I want to feel this sense of connection. I want to feel a sense of belonging. I want to feel like I'm part of something and have an idea of how I can grow, develop, and flourish inside this company so I don't have to, search elsewhere and leave. With Latitude, I'm able to understand, hey, who can I connect with in my first 30, 60, 90, first year and beyond? Who are those people, right? What does that welcome wagon look like? Number two, I get to put together my career map. So I can actually say, hey, I've been in this position before. I have these skills. This is kind of where I want to go in the future. And I can share it with those people on my personal board of advisors. So now I have a map to professional growth from the start. I have that sense of connection and belonging. That's group one. Now let's go to group two. How can we benefit from this kind of stuff? I'm a manager. I'm an HR leader. Well, typically we have things on our to-do list, on our whiteboard that says, let's invest in our people. Let's figure out how we give them a map to professional growth. Lou, that's one of the biggest reasons people are leaving organizations voluntarily. No map to professional growth, lack of connection. missing that sense of belonging. And also we have, salary mismatches and, manager mismatches, but let's focus on that professional development, that career development. So HR gives us a phone call, says, hey, I want to do this thing. I don't have the time, the resources, the tools, the expertise, the reporting capability, or the budget to hire a whole new FTE to do what you guys are trying to do here. Boom, press go. Let's get you the survey. Let's understand where we are from a baseline perspective so that we can make data-driven decisions. Connection, trust, well-being, satisfaction. Okay, then we move forward from there. Now we're able to see, hey, who has these different people on their personal board? Who has a career map? Because we can lead a horse to water, but we can't force it to drink, right? And then the last piece I'll add in there is the executive, right? They care about increasing profitability, increasing productivity. So if we're able to make sure that you have that support network much earlier on in your professional career, your professional tenure with this organization, you have the resources to succeed, grow, develop, and you want to stay here, man, let's save a lot of cost on turnover. Let's increase that productivity, and let's also give those leaders a platform and an opportunity to share their story and say, hey, I might have a high up title, but I'm still here to provide guidance, input, perspectives. I'll be on your personal board of advisors. Just come knock on my office physically or virtually. So it's kind of how do we help individuals across those various phases and stages in the organization so the company can flourish.
It's like looking at a mirror, listeners, because I'm looking at a guy that says all the things I like. He's got the high energy and everything of that, but he just looks much better, and he looks like John Krasinski's doppelganger, as we were talking about before we hit record. Okay, so I want to hit this because I am also a very big fan of the whole personal board of advisors. When did you realize in your career that was something that you needed to help you navigate your career in a way that you could look to those that could make sure that the corporation of Pete Schramm was on track?
We always joked about that being called Schramm Corp. So the corporation of Pete Schramm. And I'm pulling something up in here, Lou, from the book where I actually have a picture of what my career map was about 7 or 8 years ago. And if you're looking at the screen now, everybody can sort of see that there's a lot going on in here. So this idea of a personal board of advisors came from me going through this journey and saying, shoot, I don't know what to expect next. So asking for feedback and say, hey, I think you've kind of been in this position before. What's it like? What should I be thinking about? Is this right for me? Anything you might have done differently? And then I'd ask, who else should I maybe have a conversation with to get some more thoughts, ideas, perspective from this kind of an experience? And they say, oh, go talk to this person. So it was by trial and error of figuring out a couple of things that I didn't like. And I'm like, shoot, maybe I should do this a little bit differently. So then taking a proactive approach to these multiple people that I could bounce ideas off of in the professional setting. And then, to be honest with you, whenever I gave my first TED Talk, I said, you know what? Let's try and take this concept of mentorship to the next level. A lot of highly regarded speakers, authors talk about this concept of a personal board of directors, personal board of advisors, but nobody really breaks it down and walks us through the process. So I said, all right, there's plenty of people not helping us. Let's actually add value. Let's walk through this together. So from the TED Talk, kind of spanned from there. And obviously now the book's here and people are giving great feedback and we're helping people.
I love it. He's full circle. He's helping people. He's connecting people. He's connecting with people that help him. You get the expression that's going on here. And by the way, ironically, on my personal board of directors, which we have an annual meeting of, one of those people resides not too far from where you live. So he's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to make this clear because this is a concept that I believe, and this is where you and I speak the same language and why people have said we needed to connect. This is a true story, right, listeners. I believe that the currency of connection is help. It is what we exchange that enables us to connect each other, how we help one another, how we can empathize with somebody else, how we can add value into someone else's world and they can add value into ours. It is help that is what that is. the dollars in exchange or relationships are maybe tangential and secondary to the core of what help is all about. As I was asked this question myself recently, I want to ask you it. Why is helping others so core to your values?
It might come from the faith-based upbringing, Lou. Grew up Catholic, still go to church. Faith is something that's important to me. I think it's who my parents are, right? They both grew up on farms, and they're you get what you see kind of people. And whenever I was out of line growing up at a young age, I would get put back into line very forcefully, very quickly. And so it's that piece of do what's right and always think about if your grandmother's looking over your shoulder, would you still be doing that thing? Right. And that is your kind of barometer of should I do it or should I not do it? The other piece is, not a lot of people know who I am. And whenever you're building a business, the brand awareness piece is huge. I just listened again to the podcast session you did with the real estate guy, I think out in Colorado, right? 30 hours of, online videos and everything is pretty remarkable what he's done. So how do you build that brand? And as soon as you lose that trust, you lose that respect, people say, oh, I don't really know about you. Or, oh, that Pete guy, he's just ask and take. Walter Bond has a book called Swim, and he talks about the shark, the parasite, and the suckerfish. We do not want to be a parasite. So how can we seek first to understand, add value, put good out there, very similarly aligned, you and I, in that regard. And I'd only add to that and say, let's put a little bit of goals and expectations around it. Right? So if we're able to steer and kind of focus in, what does this value look like? And that expectation of, I'm not going to make you a millionaire by tomorrow, but what are some of the things that are in my power and that I am able to positively influence, impact, and help you drive forward? And the last part is probably around this is, collaboration and growing together is a golden opportunity, not a golden ticket.
I like it. I like that away. It gives you I'm a big fan of the opportunity and grabbing it. We'll give that shout out to Will Grimes, who was the realtor out in Colorado, who's former Marine. Really tatted up. He was getting on me that I should get a couple of tattoos, and I just, it's not my thing. It just wouldn't look good. I'm afraid my body would just stretch tremendously, and later in life, no one would know what it is. But that's not important right now. All right, so I love your energy. I love what you're about, and I love Pathfinders. Mostly because when I was a kid, I think that was the first car I ever wanted. I saw a Nissan Pathfinder. I was like, that's a cool truck. That would be neat. But aside from that, I also love what Pathfinders is about. You created a gift in this world in that book. Best-selling book. People have gotten value from it. It's got great feedback, which means that you've given a gift to the world. Yet I always find that there's this happy accident that happens to content creators, and that is that you in turn receive a gift for creating that piece of content. What was the gift you got back, Pete, in creating Pathfinders?
I just go through a couple of text messages, pictures. I took a shot of a text that came through on my watch the other day. And Lou, somebody said, "Hey, I just got a copy of your book. I was riding the subway back. I was so engrossed in it that I missed my subway stop." I said, "Whoa, that's pretty cool." Somebody else said, "Hey, I got a copy of your book, and I'm actually buying it for all the members of my team because this is what they need: a little bit of love, guidance, direction, and to put some tools in their toolbox." Somebody else, read it and they're like, "Pete, this is actually good." I'm like, "You son of a gun. What are you thinking? This is going to be bad?" They're like, "No, this is what the world needs. A little bit of a guide, a workbook of how to do this mentor, career map, personal board thing that we hear about, but we don't necessarily know who, what, when, where, why, how to get through this process, the action steps to take." Folks adding it to their new employee onboarding process, right? You got a coffee mug, a t-shirt, a pen, a pencil, and a copy of Pathfinders, so that we're investing in our people in a bunch of different ways. So the value that I get out of it is that people are benefiting. They're able to take action, that we're catalyzing those aha moments. That's one of the biggest pieces for me, hands down. And then from a personal side, you've done this a few times now on your side. To write a book is a big deal. And we all know the statistics about how few, less than 1% of 1% of people, actually publish a book. And most of the books that get written never get published. And of those books that get published, most of them don't even sell 500 copies. Yeah. So we've gotten through every one of those. You and I, right? Those milestones. So I'm proud of what it's become and proud of the accomplishment as well.
Awesome. Great stuff. I want to lead into, before I get to the plug section, I was curious about this for somebody who's as high energy. And I'm looking at the mirror at a much better version of myself with much better hair. Pete, we have days that we're always crushing it, writing the book, running your company, getting your message out, connecting with others. I imagine these you consider days that you're thriving, which is why you're here on Thrive Loud. Yet we all have those days when we're not quite kicking on all cylinders and we're a little off our game. Pete Schramm, when you have trouble thriving, what practice do you seek, or which individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
The first thing I do is look in the mirror and say, hey, why are we in this situation? Do we do it to ourselves? Have we been here before? And then go for a run. That's usually those worst days. You'll usually find me out and about, moving quite briskly, headphones in, listening to a very similar playlist that I've had since the end of grade school, and very few additions to that song. Remember the Name by Fort Minor is one of the key ones that never leaves that. And sometimes I'll talk to my parents, right? They very different backgrounds, right? Very, very blue collar, different than the path that I've taken, but they know me just about as good as anybody else. And I'll go to a couple of my other friends, right? A couple of those accountability buddies, accountability partners that are on the board, and my brother as well. So there's a few different folks that I'll go to in that regard. But first, I got to check myself, and I got to get a great sweat in to try and recalibrate a little bit, because we have those ups and downs. And the last piece I'll share in here is I had a conversation with one of my entrepreneur leader friends in Pittsburgh this morning. We grabbed coffee, and we talked about the roller coaster of an entrepreneur's life. In a single day, Lou, we can have a couple of things that are, like you said, we're thriving. We're boom, boom, boom. This is awesome, awesome, awesome. So much so that some individuals might say, wow, that made my month, my quarter, my year, just in one day. And then in that same day, right? Okay, hey, maybe we stopped to, have a cup of coffee, or we ate lunch, right? Day's halfway over. And the second half of the day, things happen to us that, man, we get punched. We get knocked down. Yeah. And in that same capacity, people could say, that might have set me, out. I'd be done. I'd leave. I'd quit. And you can have those highs and those lows, and the thrill of that exhilaration, positive and negative. That's what we get into on this entrepreneurial journey. You've probably felt it many, many times yourself.
Oh, yeah.
It's wow.
Every day. Yep. I felt it about 6 times yesterday. Totally understand. And I think I used to use the analogy when I worked in a large corporation and I went into a sales meeting. It was like I came in with a full battle battalion. There was an aircraft carrier in the ocean ready to shoot at a moment's notice. I had enough backup around me and shield and full protection. I almost felt bulletproof. Yet when I go in as an entrepreneur, I feel like I have a stick and a loincloth. This is basically the way I feel like on what can possibly hit. And the wins feel great, and the losses hurt a lot. And I think you end up building a lot of calluses over time by doing it and know how to handle those highs and lows, which is the whole goal is to balance it all out. So I totally feel you there on that specific regard. Before I get to the admin part of the show, I would love to hear who is on your board of advisors, personal board of advisors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
you don't have to drop names if you just want to give the roles of these people for whatever reasons that is. So.
Yeah, so somebody's a leader in an HR tech company, and he's my functional mentor, right? A couple years ahead of me on this professional development journey. Another person runs a chamber of commerce in the Pittsburgh area, different gender, different background, different race, and it's really helpful to hear that other perspective. Somebody who's a couple levels above me, retired now actually, is my champion, right? So they've sold multiple different companies, SaaS, non-SaaS, and it's, hey, how do I kind of keep going in the right direction there? I have my peers, my buddies that are, also building their organizations, building their companies. And that's where we'll bounce ideas off of one another in a more informal capacity. And then I also have my cross-functional mentor who's in that marketing space. Right? They don't teach you how to do marketing stuff whenever you're building robots. They don't teach it. And also some of those ships, right? So you talk about the aircraft carrier. I was never building anything quite that large, Lou, but it had a lot of guns and whistles and things to protect our people on there. So I can relate to you there. But it's a group of different. We talk about 20 different kinds of diversity. We can't always see these things, but inside, outside, and how do we diversify our support system? We're not just trying to check the box, but we don't know what we don't know. So those are a couple of the different individuals, but it changes over time. And there's this concept of having your personal board, 8-ish people is what we kind of target in here. But then you have I don't know the best term for it. Maybe we can figure something out. If you're up at this point listening to the episode, share in the comments, right? Please support, Lou's post here. The bench, right? So who's kind of not your inner circle, but your medium circle. It's not your outer circle, just kind of that concept. So who knows? Maybe we're going to come up with the next piece of what that's going to be defined as. But people go in and out of your support system over time.
Yeah, I would argue that that's probably the most important part, because there are those that can maybe act as it's almost like you could have people that are like your emeritus status in your board. You could always look back to, but the activeness based on your career has changed. And I think you're always moving onward and upward, which is why you're here on Thrive Loud, because that is a great way to think about it. So listeners, viewers, when you're trying to figure out who the right people are, listen to how well Pete just made it diverse, different roles, different functions, and check out a copy of Pathfinders. Let's do the plug section now so we can learn about that. And in the plug section, do me a favor, also target who benefits most, the types of person that would benefit from Latitude as well. So I'm going to give you the floor, websites, URLs, social handles. Pete, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, check me out on LinkedIn, Pete Schramm. Fun, easy way to know how to say my name. A peach emoji and a ram emoji. Lou, see if you can find anybody else, any of your other guests that can pronounce their name with 2 emojis. Wow. So PETESCHRAMM, LinkedIn's the best place. Again, please, whenever you see here, listen to this podcast, add a comment, right? One thing that you took away from this, let's keep building up Lou and the Thrive Loud experience so other people can hear from this. Copy of Pathfinders, please go check it out. If you know somebody that's early career, mid-career, late career, they're a first-time manager, this is a super helpful resource for them. And if they read it and say, man, that was terrible, please pick up the phone and call me and let me know what they think would have been more valuable, because I don't have all the answers. So let's keep making this better together. I'll be impressed if you hurt my feelings, but the goal is to really help people. On the Latitude side, it's kind of like, hey, we're talking about all this people connection stuff, retain top talent. Let's, develop, let's invest in our people, our employees, the most important asset that we have in an organization of all sizes. So if that's something that you're interested in learning about, how do we do this stuff? How do we, automate some of the pieces of the process? We're never going to automate the person out entirely, especially whenever it comes to people connection and development. It's kind of important to keep that in there. A lot of folks are trying to AI every one of the human connections out of the human process. So we don't do that, right? So if you're thinking, hey, we should probably do an engagement survey, let's hear the voice of our folks in a psychologically safe, anonymous manner. Reach out to us. We measure connection, trust, well-being, satisfaction. Rockstar team. I got to give a shout out to the team for all the amazing work that they do. Angelo, Isaiah, Joe, Dalian, Keisha, Matt, and more. Thank you very much for that. And then we get into hey, what's next from that engagement survey? Career maps. Ask yourself, do you have a career map inside your company? Do you know where you've been, where you're at? Probably yes. But how about the couple of different paths and options that you can go in the future? And then how are you able to share that with your personal board of advisors? So again, think of Latitude as the Duolingo for professional development.
Love it. Love the way you clarified it. Love the plug section. That might have been the most thorough plug section we've had in a lot of episodes. Well done. Well done, Pete. And by the way, if Pete Schramm is how we're saying your name and you have 2 emojis, in theory, Lou Diamond could be, if we were in Great Britain, a toilet and the diamond. I'm just saying.
Whoa! All right.
I mean,
Flabbergasted.
I'm just making it clear. Not that we want to refer to Lou as the Lou all the time, but yeah, hey, it would work. It would technically do it, but no one would ever say Lou unless you were in the UK. So UK people are going to start now emojing me with the toilet emoji for my name. I feel good about that. Okay. Pete Schramm. I'm loving saying that with this now forever. You ready to roll down Fun Street with me?
Let's go.
We're gonna do the Speakeasy pub crawl, as we like to call it, because speakeasies are our little love the stop and the favorite places that mean a lot to you. Here we go. Can you share with the listeners what is one of your all-time favorite movies, or when a program is on, a movie is on, you just get glued right in and you just gotta continue where it is. You can't walk away from it.
I'm torn between Rambo and anything with Will Ferrell.
You know, that's range.
I'm also very bad at watching movies.
Now, I want to clarify Rambo. Let's get something. There's First Blood, which was the first movie, and then the sequel was Rambo. A lot of people get that all confused because First Blood was where you got to meet John Rambo, and then Rambo was the sequel. Which of those is it, the first or the second?
Rambo 4, actually. There was Rambo 1, 2, 3, and then in 2005-ish, more than a decade later, that one came out. That was probably the favorite. It was also one of the first intense movies I was allowed to go to without my parents. So I kind of felt that sense of, whoa, I'm growing up here a little bit, right? And then I think a fifth one came out. There's also a special nostalgic feel. My dad was in the military. He's a badass, right? One of the people that I look up to in so many capacities. And last name Schramm. Here's another fun one for you. They called him Shrambo, right? So then I'm like, okay, where'd this come from? So then the Rambo piece, so there's that cool tie to that from the family piece. And then me and my buddies just loved Will Ferrell, right? He's kind of just
all right. So give me your top 3 Will Ferrell movies.
Step Brothers, other guys, Blades of Glory. We can keep going and going, but we're going to start off with those ones. Land of the Lost, you got to watch it. It's absolutely terrible. But Will Ferrell, if you ever watch this, I go back there every couple of years for it. But man, you cannot go wrong with the other guys. Step Brothers, even Semi-Pro, right? Can't get mad about that one. It's great. Eurovision, oh boy.
So all of these are above. I'm all fans. I would even throw in, and I know they're more cameo. Old School obviously would be another one in there.
Old School, classic.
And it's hard not to think of him from Wedding Crashers because it's without a doubt. Yeah, Meatloaf. The Meatloaf. So, but by the way, Step Brothers. You know what? We do. Steve O'Brien, who does our voiceover openings for the show where we take movie quotes and we kind of bastardize them into Thrive Loud or Lou Diamond speak. Step Brothers is one that has been on my list that I need to get to him because that movie is, Can We Make Bunk Beds is one of my favorite scenes in any movie when they're just sitting there so patiently trying to get together. It's some of my great stuff. And that and the Catalina wine mixer. So all great.
I was going to suggest either that scene or Phil Collins' Strangers Like Me. It's up to you. They're pretty much the same thing. But as I was thinking about how this might work, maybe there's an intro, maybe there's an outro. I'll leave that up to you and the team, Lou.
We'll work on it. We'll see what we can spin around by the time this episode rolls around. It might be very doable. All right. So I want to go through this list here. I want first thing that comes to your mind on all these answers so we could roll through these stops. Here we go. Of late, a song that you've been love to listen to, or one that's your jam.
Ferrari remix.
Ooh, who's Ferrari? Is that who performs that?
I don't know. I'm a big fan of
we'll
remixes and mashups and stuff. You'll find it out there.
Okay.
It's moving. It's one of those workout ones as I've been, running more. Luke, kind of fun update. I'm down 60 pounds in the last couple months. So I need anybody else has other hey, workout songs to throw on the playlist, right? Mine's pretty trite and 20 years old.
Pretty much just go to the Rocky IV soundtrack. I don't care how old it is. If that doesn't get you motivated to run up a snow-filled mountain and shout Drago, I don't know what you possibly could do. Okay. Favorite food that's not a dessert.
Favorite food that's not a dessert. Hamburgers and pancakes.
What a combination.
Not necessarily always together. They could be together. I have had them together, but love me a hamburger, love me a pancake.
Favorite dessert.
Oh boy, my birthday cake every year is a dirt cake. Even when I was in Hong Kong, Mom put it on dry ice and shipped it around the world to me. So I got it on my birthday. Dirt cake, hands down.
Dirt cake. To clarify for those, is it just like really dark chocolate? Is that what it is? Or what?
No, not at all.
Oh,
Not at all. It's because I grew up on the farm, tractors, John Deere green. So my grandma, before she passed away, didn't have whatever kind of pudding you're supposed to have. It's like pudding and crunched up Oreos and pudding and crunched up Oreos. And there's probably some cream cheese in there at some point. She only had green pistachio, pudding. So whenever I was, probably single digit years old, I had literal John Deere tractors, gummy worms, and green pudding in the dirt cake. And that tradition stuck. So Granny Mary, and it's only once a year, right? I eat this dessert one time per year at the end of April each year.
Is there, Pete Schramm, is there a picture somewhere in your past, something of this cake? Now, I want you to send it to me. I want you to send it to me so we can incorporate it into the episode artwork, because I have never heard of the dirt cake. I love the description of it, and that is really cool, especially the John Deere tractor. Okay, coming to my
I got it. It's coming your way.
An activity you wish you did more of?
Oh, boy. I'm trying to weave those things in. I want to do more golf. I want to do more travel. I'm going to, lock in my final answer at reading.
Okay. That's a little bit different than golf and travel, but you could technically read about golf and on a traveling trip. That could work. An activity you wish you did less of?
Oh, maybe I'll say I want to do more sleeping. Maybe that's the I'd love to sleep less so that I can do more. That would be my real answer. But what do I want to do less of? Probably scrolling. Sometimes I get into I'm pretty good. I have the timers on my phone, but I always want to continue improving. So let's do less scrolling on non-educational places.
Yeah, you're not alone. My production team has been sifting and trying to calculate through all these hundreds of episodes, thousands of episodes at this point, 1,000+ episodes, of when I ask that question, how many people say less time on social media or scrolling? It's definitely in the lead, and we're literally trying to get a count on it because it's definitely something we all do maybe too much. A new activity you've recently tried that you love so much you want to tell everybody else to try?
Coaching basketball. And I'd say the activity, to generalize it, is to coach or guide or teach others. And it's something, I'm 6'8", so I was fortunate to play basketball and got to play the game all around the globe. And I still play a little bit, but man, is it so rewarding and so special to be able to pay it forward and positively impact so many of those lives. Whenever so many I gave a shout out to a couple of my basketball coaches in the book. That's final answer. Submit.
Like it. We're going to get to the hoops thing in a second, but I'll ask this one. If I could snap my fingers and you could be anywhere in the world, where are you?
Chiang Mai, Thailand, northern Thailand. Very remote, great food, nice people, super cheap.
Okay. Getting back to hoops. As you mentioned, you played for many, many years competitively, was recruited across the country for it. Which means are you still a fan of the game? I will ask that. And I'm talking about the professional game at this point. Okay. I would like to hear Pete Schramm's 5 all-time greatest NBA basketball players.
All right, let's go with the favorites. Let's not go with the greatest. Okay. All right, so we're going to flip that a little bit. Shaq, number 1. Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal, right? I was trying to be as tall as him, as big as him, as good as him, because you can will that, the size of your body into effect. But, Shaq definitely is up there. Larry Bird is up there. I'm a tall guy, so anybody that's playing in the post is really, really fun to watch. Tim Duncan, extremely fundamental. Ben Wallace, there was something crazy about him that I didn't really, dig it, but I also didn't hate it. And his intensity was very appealing. I was fortunate to play with and against many of the players that are in the league right now. TJ McConnell is a local guy, right? So God give TJ a shout out on the Pacers. Oscar Tshiebwe that just went out to the Utah Jazz. Kyrie and Bradley Beal played against them multiple times. Tim Hardaway Jr., Jeremy Lamb from UConn was one of the first people to dunk on me. So there's a vulnerable moment out there. So those are the people that I'll support. But anytime there's a big guy, Lou, I just love watching the post game. And I'll tell you, I prefer March Madness more than the NBA. So and if you watch the big dude from NC State, man, was that big body going to town, and that was I got to see him in person in Pittsburgh. That was such a treat. But that's really my favorite part of the game. So I don't really choose those favorites outside of those couple of guides, right? Inside, outside game. But
I'm gonna forget the gentleman's name, but in the Olympic final, we're recording this, by the way, mid-August. The Olympics had just ended, and the final was U.S. played France. The guy on France posterized LeBron James. It was in the third quarter. It was unbelievable, by the way. It was like it was almost like a John Starks-like dunk, like literally over LeBron. There are pictures everywhere on the internet of this posterized, because I mean, it's a rare thing. If I was that guy, I would literally have that like put up in my like mural on the wall. Like, I mean, going up to one of the greatest ones ever. Amazing stuff, and great to hear it.
Hold on, who's your favorite basketball players? Before we wrap up, before we leave it, who's some of your favorites?
Julius Irving was my first idol. Jordan was the next, as much as I hated him because I'm a Knicks fan. And I'm going to go modern day now, and very fittingly, you mentioned Tim Duncan. I think Tim Duncan's one of the most underrated players of all time. I think Kareem is the least respected, even though he's one of the greatest of all time, and he's in that list. But the one that you can't knock which will lead to my last question to you here, is Steph Curry, because I've never seen anything like what this guy can do from a distance, and you can't not deny all that stuff. I liked LeBron when he did that last year in Cleveland when they won. That was about it for my LeBron. But those are mine. Those are my favorites from those 3 decades, 70s, 80s, 90s, etc. Magic and Bird, whatever. I could live without him. I was a Knicks fan. It was really tough not being involved in any of that. But the game the way it is today, which ironically Steph Curry has probably changed, because 3 is more than 2. To someone who's played the game, do you like the way that game, what has happened to basketball?
Sometimes. I think it's changed. People are less physical, which is probably healthier, so that your body can stay in the game longer. I think, it's a simple math equation. 3 is more than 2. Yeah. But I think the intensity of some of the rebounds and how do we get in there. I'm a bruiser, right? I'm sure I can dunk, have dunked on people. That's really, really cool. Awesome, amazing experience. But I was more so a bruiser than a flyer whenever we look at those two different things. And even whenever I play today in some of the coaching situations, right, it's big focus on the post game. So I wish there was a little bit more of an inside presence. And I think everybody has an opportunity to play in the post, right, as you're moving through screens, right? Even the little guys, right? Small, medium, large, everybody can benefit from a couple of post moves. And we're trying to instill that. Watch out for the Knock Knights basketball team in Pennsylvania this year. 4A basketball. Stay tuned. We are going to make a splash. Obviously, I won't be on the court unless we're about to get a technical foul, but you get an idea. So I think that from a health perspective, it's becoming a good thing. But from an intensity and the, kind of core pieces of the game, it'll be interesting to see how things change.
Yeah. I'll leave it on this. I think what was happening in the 90s is why they changed the game so much, and they put a lot of crips on the fouls, and it was problematic, which really gives you an understanding of how good Michael Jordan was, by the way, to be that good. Have you heard this comment? He was recently asked in the year that the Golden State Warriors had almost the best record in basket in the NBA. He was asked that year, do you think your Bulls teams in the 90s could beat the teams in Golden State? And this was in I think it was 2017 was the year they had this conversation. Yeah. He goes, yeah. He goes, I believe we would win. He goes, really? He goes, yeah, we would win by 2 or 3 points. And they go, really? Why do you think 2 or 3 points? Where do you get that from? He goes, well, we're a lot older now. Just gives you an idea of what the competitive skills that go out there. Thrive Loud listeners, Pete Schramm, truly a pleasure. Pathfinders, navigating your career map with a personal board of advisors. Check out his amazing company and all the websites here on Latitude. And dude, you're like my brother from another mother, man. Keep rocking and rolling, and thank you so much for bringing the energy here to Thrive Loud.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Lou.
To all the listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.